All right, how's it going today? Troy here, Quad Standard Labs. We have on the bench today two of our latest platforms that we're offering. These are essentially Cinewhoops that are a step above performance in the squirt and right in the same category that the Geyser by Shin Drones used to be. If you're not familiar with the Geyser, here's a look at it. Geyser was a 85 millimeter duct that needed 3D prints and needed hand cut props. When Squirt started getting 75 millimeter props already made to the right size, Geyser kind of lost its way. A lot of people did not care to actually cut props, and they didn't really like the idea of this larger drone just because of all the things that came with it. That being said, Geyser has always been at the heart of Quad Standard Labs. In fact, this is one of the very first builds we ever offered. Ever since we started offering geysers, we've always wanted to mold a duct and a prop to match because the level of performance that Geyser and now Terraplane and Hydroplane provide with a full 22 size stator motor is just unprecedented with anything that's even smaller, spinning a smaller prop faster. It's a pretty awesome platform. We've proven this with Geyser by being able to build cheater quads, two cameras, two hero cameras, two Osmos. We've done lots of different things with Geyser that just really make us really excited about this 85 millimeter combo. Now, we do offer the ducts for sale that you could put on any 4 inch, but this is going to be more about a quick introduction into the Terraplane and Hydrophobe. So, I'm sorry, Terraplane, Hydroplane. As you can see, they are identical in the layout of the duct and basically the arm pattern. Everything is essentially the same. What we have here is Terraplane, which is based on the Icky 2.0 Junior, the newest, latest version of that Icky Junior, the center body. They both have the same short arms on the bodies. And then with Hydroplane, you're actually getting the hydrophobe center section and aluminum base plate that acts as a heat sink to keep everything inside cool. So, differences in flight characteristics, not really any at all. Both of these platforms are going to fly identical. They're essentially running the same tunes, they're running the same hardware, and all those things. Couple of quick things to note about your build when you do get it from us. We have put a relocator for the USB on the Hydroplane, and it's going to be on the XT60 usually. We also did a relocator on the Terraplane to get it in a better location. On this one, we put it on the bottom, but you also might have that located here in the tail, right around that XT60. That plug is what you're going to use to access your flight controller. Now, major differences in when you receive them and how you might have to set them up. If you're getting a hydroplane, you essentially are getting the same thing as a hydrophobe in the sense that you will have to open this thing up in order to bind your air unit. Your receiver, if you're using a Crossfire, should be reset to where you can bind out the box without opening or getting in there. But again, the video, there's nothing we can get around. So really quickly, the easiest way to get into your hydroplane or a hydrophobe and do that is actually going to be to remove the bottom screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 screws on the bottom. Remove those screws and the entire skirt is going to lift up a little bit, and that will allow you to locate that button, which that button should be on the same side that you're usually used to on that air unit. It is possible that we've flipped the air unit upside down, which is something we've started doing now to get the antennas to match a little bit better and kind of be in a better position. So just know that it may be on the opposite side. Just lift it up and kind of take a peek and see. And then you can kind of reach in there with a pin and poke it. You're not really wanting to pull that whole body off. You're just trying to lift it up just a little bit. Now, when you are lifting up that body to get in there and bind everything and check everything, going for both of these, you will want to hook both up to Betaflight, and you're going to need to check your radio, your modes, all the different things to verify that everything is functioning properly and set up the way you want it. We do set these up identical to all of our other builds, where on a DJI radio, it's going to be channel 2 for ARM. On a Crossfire radio or some other protocol, it's going to be usually channel 1. So there is a little bit of difference. If you're used to something, you need to go in and check that out. Otherwise, they're fully tuned and tested and ready to go. With the Hydroplane, just like Hydrophobe, it is not fully sealed out the box. You are responsible for fully sealing this thing. We will send you a little bit of E6000. I've heard from some folks that silicone is a little better if you want to go get a big tube of silicone and a squeezy, like a dispenser from your local hardware store. I've heard silicone is really, really great. The reason we send E6000 is we really like it. It's useful in a lot of different ways. It also peels off really nicely and is able to be reapplied. So it's just what we have experience with. But when you do go to seal this thing up, just like our Hydrophobe video, you're going to want to take the skirt on the bottom off. You're going to want to put a nice thick bead around the bottom of the skirt, put it back down, screw it down. You're going to want to take the top plate off. You're going to want to do that. You're going to want to make sure any holes where any of the wiring, so the rear wiring, the motor wiring, the antenna if you have a crossfire, all these things need to be sealed up. You also will have to figure out about your camera. We only have the polar cameras right now, and so buttoning those up are going to take a little bit of sealant, probably all the way around them, and it's going to be on you to test and make sure that's going to work. It's not on us. We don't send these things out waterproof, just like in the product description. It's going to be up to you. We have had people that have noted that maybe some leaking is getting in through screw holes. So you may want to pull all of the screws slightly out just a little bit once it's sealed, and then put a little sealant around the screw head and screw it back down. That would be a really great thing to do if I were trying to waterproof mine. The antenna plugs, you're going to get little plugs that go into the antennas. They plug up that antenna, and you're going to kind of seal that up too. It's just going to let you kind of seal the holes up there, because those do enter the body and open directly into the internals. On the bottom, you're going to want to make sure any holes that aren't used should be already technically glued from us, but sometimes we make mistakes, and again, you're going to want to verify. So this one right here has got two little M2 screw holes that need to be sealed. It's also got the two screw holes up here in the front that are not being used in the center stack because the stack has been shifted backwards. Those will need to be sealed. If you don't seal those up, water is going to get in. That's your kind of walk around here for Hydrophobe. Hydroplane. Keep getting to Hydrophobe. With Terraplane, same exact deal as far as, when you set it up, you're going to want to go into beta flight, test all your modes, make sure everything's set up right. Last thing, the ducts themselves do have a small spacer that is glued in place, and it's glued in place with that E6000. It can be peeled out and pulled out whenever you go to change ducts. You can put the same one in. We will also provide you with a few spares, so you have them. These little spacers are perfect for getting right in between those ducts and making sure that they don't vibrate or move a little bit, which could cause a little bit of prop rub. It could cause some vibration, some things of that nature. Now, people out there might say, well, why are they shifting? Why are they moving? Well, we did make these ducts where we wanted them really easy to be changed out. These ducts have two screws that hold the physical duct in and two screws for the motor. There are two different length screws, so if you ever change your ducts or your motors, please make sure you check the screws and put the right screws in the right place. Also, you do not want to go crazy tight on any of your motor screws, and you don't want to use any Loctite because the Loctite will actually break down some of the plastic resins that are used in these molds. When you get them tight, you're just looking to get those nice and good and just bumped good the way they should be torqued. Something else, a little tip that we do, a little E6000 on those nuts or those screw heads will allow them to not move at all if they are vibrating, and they won't back themselves out. So again, use a little E6000. Don't use any thread locker. Thread locker also tears out threads when you go to pull the screw out. Even the stuff that's removable will tear up threads after moving and removing and putting back in. And if you ever need to change a duct, you're going to want to pull those out without messing up those threads. So to remove a duct, you're just going to remove those two screws that hold the duct in, take the prop off, pull it off, put the other one on. Make sure you notate how these ducts are on there. They are on there in a specific orientation, and you can see kind of where these line out. If you put it on the wrong way, it's possible to get one of these bars right up against the arm. And if you do, it's going to vibrate a lot more and cause a lot more motion. So at any rate, these little spacers are really great. If you ever need any more, let us know if you lose them or something. No problem. But again, gluing them in there should keep them in there nice and good. And they shouldn't ever really now have any rubbing props. If you do, and you look at this and you say, you know what, there's a little bit of a gap difference between this side of the prop and this side, or here and here. The one way that you can adjust these ducts is you can loosen up here and here on the duct itself, and you can shift the duct about a half of a millimeter here or there in a couple of different directions. You can actually watch the location of it according to the two screws in the motor, and you can even feel that center cutout of the arm and it lining up with the duct. You can feel little ridges on the sides that it's kind of shifted away from. So using that, you can actually kind of reposition the duct ever so slightly to kind of make up for that little hair of a millimeter that might still just be rubbing every little bit. That being said, they really, really shouldn't be rubbing with these spacers and with everything tightened down and centered. So that's your Terraplane, that's your hydrophobe, or hydroplane. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to us if you need anything. Go fly, have fun, fly safe, fly smart, just fly. Peace.